go through the same thing, especially when you're trying to do like all these different boxes and stuff like
Right.
that. It's
Right. But now I want to switch. How do I make him the bigger box, Treva? I'm not gonna end it. No, we stay here then. I'll just roll with this. Yeah, make him the bigger box and make me the smaller box. Nobody want to see me.
I don't know if nobody want to see me, but okay.
Huh? I had my headphones on. Excuse you. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Well, let's. You know what, Doc? Let's just roll.
Let's roll with it. Let's go.
Oh, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to this episode for 2026 of Becoming a Better You. And even though my technical skills are not very well, I have here in the box here. This is like one of my favorite people that I had the privilege of meeting on TikTok. And since I have met this gentleman on TikTok, I have had a blast just listening to the knowledge that he has. Now let me tell folks a story first before I okay. So my wife told me, she said, you gotta go see Dr. Rayon Walton. And you know me, I'm like, okay, all right, well, yeah, let's go check it out. So I get on there and I see Dr. Ray, and I literally said, who is this teenager on here talking all this knowledge? You know what I mean? And because and then here's the thing, and I'm gonna get into the formal introduction because I owe him that. You know what I'm saying? So let me do this now. Founder of Walton Global Enterprises, LLC, and Creative Minds, LLC. He's a strategic educator, infrastructure architect. All right. He's a husband. He's a father. He's a grandfather. Did you hear what I said? He's a grandfather. Okay. All right. And more importantly, he's a man of God. He graduated from Grand Canyon University out here in Arizona in 2024. Doc, what did you get your degree in?
It's an organizational leadership. So it's a Doctor of Education in Organizational Leadership.
Okay. But here's the great thing about Dr. Rayon. When I met him, the first thing I heard him say is, don't let the doctor like throw you out, throw you around, because I'm just like you are. And so, of course, me, originally, I'm like, yeah, okay, because I've met people, they got doctor and, all that. And they, yeah, doctor, MIG from KFC around the corner from MIT. You know what I mean? And so, but with Dr. Ray, he was genuine. And that's something that I needed at the time, is I needed someone who was genuine. And so, having said all that, he is the host of the Clarity Circle. I need to let you guys know, if you have not engaged with Dr. Rayon Walton, I don't know what's wrong with you. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but I'm letting you know that you need to engage with him. Now he's on the tube called You. You see how I've maneuvered that, Doc? Okay, he's on the tube called You. All right, thank you, honey. He's on the tube called You. He's on the IG. I caught him on the Book of Face too. You ain't been on there in a minute, Doc. Yeah, yeah.
I don't frequent the Book of Face too much, but I'm on there every so often. Yeah.
and I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge his lovely wife, Miss Michelle. Love Miss Michelle. Hello, Miss Michelle. I see my TikTok auntie on here. Angela Shabwadar, welcome in, man. Listen, I am just so incredibly blessed to be able to talk to Dr. Ray. Lady T, I see you. Talk to Dr. Ray. And so as I was doing this, of course, I don't have any problem in talking. I know my wife will second that motion. I don't have any problem in talking, but I'm going to be honest with you, and it sounds weird. I'm a little nervous doing this. You know what I mean? I've done this for so long, but like, you sit here and you're talking with someone who has an extensive amount of knowledge. And like I said, if you have not engaged with Dr. Rayon, I am urging you. Okay, you need to connect with him. But Dr. Ray, before we get into, because I got some questions for you, brother. I really do. I got some questions for you because today we're going to talk about leading with purpose. And so, but before we get into all of that, let's tell the folks a little bit about Dr. Rayon Walton. First of all, he's a yachty. Now, I learned that, okay? And I learned that from him. So, what does that mean? So, you are from Jamaica. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I
Um,
am from Jamaica, and when they say a yachty is typically a person that is from the islands, right? But you typically
okay.
hear that from people who are from Jamaica. So we
Okay.
call each other yachty, right? We say yachty, and then it's like a known thing. Like once you say yachty, that person is from the islands, right? Typically from
Mhm.
Jamaica, though. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I learned that, because Dr. Rader made everybody a yachty, and I kind of got offended. But I was just messing with him. But no. So of course, he is married to his lovely wife Michelle. How long have you guys been married?
17. This year will be 18 years.
Man, you better get it right, Doc.
Yes. 18 years.
Come on
Well,
now.
if you ask her, she'll say it's longer than that. She's like, man, we've been married for 25 years, right? Like just putting adding numbers on there. So
Yeah, man, you can't have you can't have that hesitation. I
yeah,
learned that myself. Yeah, you got to say it quick.
yep,
Um,
almost 18 years.
okay, and how many children?
All right, so we have a blended family, right? So we
Yes, sir.
have she has two kids and I have twin daughters.
Okay,
And we have, of course, you said about the grandkids, right? So we got a bunch of those. So yeah.
Miss Michelle said he better get it
I know
right.
that's right. She won't let me live that one down.
And so, and I didn't mention this, but you're also Marine. Now, are you active or are you out of the Corps?
Retired now.
You're
Retired now.
retired now. So
Yes,
okay,
sir.
okay. So how long were you in the Marine Corps?
It's funny, about the same amount of time I've been married to Michelle. So 17 and a half years.
Okay, 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 okay. All right. So and then you have by the blended family. How many grandkids do you have?
What are we,
Come
four?
on, come on, Doc.
Be five. We're like five now. I mean, it's like you pop up every 2 seconds. We got a new grandkid. It's like, but we have a total of five. I can say that with confidence, right? Let me see: Julian, Alex, Adrian, Mateo. I know of four. There's another one, right? I hope there's not another one coming, but they're all boys. So yeah, they're a handful. That's why I can't keep track of them. It's too many of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. I understand. I understand. And so you know what we want to talk about tonight is leading with purpose. And I have followed you now for a while, and like I said, you on a tube called You, and a lot of that you talk about. But I want the people who don't know you, to get an understanding of what it means to lead, with purpose. You know what I'm saying? Now you've been in the Marine Corps, so there's a level of discipline that you had. Did it take the Marine Corps to get you in a mode of discipline, or were you already disciplined prior to you going into the Corps?
That's a really good question. So, but before I go into that, right, I want to say how, humbled and honored I am, to have this opportunity. I was about to say Dr. Coach Young, right? But you could pretty much say that, right? With Coach Young, because he is, this opportunity, I don't take it lightly,
Right.
right? Because I know Coach Young, he himself is purposeful, right? He is purpose driven. And when he mentioned that this is what we're going to talk about today, I was like, yeah, let's do this, right? Like I got really
Yeah.
super excited about this topic because, and then, going into answer your question, Dr. Coach speaking. Yes, right. Going into answering your question, right? So, like I said, it's a humbling experience for me, and maybe that's probably where the nervousness is probably coming from you, because it's like it's reciprocated, right?
Hmm.
And when we know we have something this heavy, it's like a mantle that we're carrying with us, right? And so
Right.
we understand what purpose means. So when we start having these types of conversations, it's heavy, right? But it's
Hmm.
it's not heavy in a negative sense, right? It's like
Right.
it's something that we know we have to get out into the community. And
Right.
so, and me, my ADHD kicks in sometimes, right? So you might have to reel me back in when you ask me a question that I'm like off the beaten path, right? Because I get excited about this topic. But I think you were talking about discipline, and
Yes.
I'm glad at the onset you mentioned that the fact that I'm a yachty, right? So we
Yes,
were
sir.
raised a whole lot different than how people here in the United States are raised, right? Like
Okay.
now you're talking about selective discipline, when
Yeah.
or there's a different take with how people get disciplined now, right? So I'm gonna go into, I don't want anyone on this call to be traumatized by what I'm about to say, right? But when we talk about discipline in the Jamaica perspective, right? It's like you better do what the heck I tell you to do, or you're gonna feel the consequences literally, right? Like you
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
pulling your own switch, weapons of opportunity, right? Where I'm gonna get this
Yeah.
brick or whatever, and I'm gonna let you
Right.
know that I'm not playing, right?
Right.
So there's a thin line there, right? But that was kind of the framework that already was instilled in me before I even got into the military. To the point where when I migrated from Jamaica and came to the United States, and I joined the Marine Corps, they the drill instructors actually asked me, well, were you in the military before, or were you in JRTC or in some kind of a military academy before you got here? Because I had everything down packed. I knew how to march, I knew how to call cadence, I knew how to do all these different things.
Okay.
So those things were already instilled in me, but it's like the Marine Corps amplified that, right? And so that
Hmm.
brought a lot of the drive towards going towards education and everything else that kind of came with that, right? Taking on a
Okay.
blended family, like all these other
Yeah.
different things, right? When we
Yeah.
talk about leading with purpose, for someone to do all of those things, right, there has to be purpose behind that. It has to be purpose driven. It's not a willy nilly, type of thing, right? So hopefully I
Right.
answered your question.
No, no, absolutely, absolutely. And listen, I don't worry about you going off because I know eventually you roll back, so I don't have a problem with it. And I know we get nuggets out of it. You know what I mean? But seeing is that you've gone through the military. You now but you have your blended family. You got your kids. You got your grandkids. It all leads up to my first question. So my first question, and for everybody that is on here, listen, if you have something you want to ask Dr. Ray, something, I don't have a problem with that. You know what I mean? I really don't. Because I'm privileged to have him at this time, and so I'm gonna ask him. Let me tell y'all something now. I'm gonna get mine off, y'all. I'm gonna ask him these questions because I truly want to know. So the first question I want to ask you is, what moment or experience shaped you most as a leader?
I love this one. This one is actually going to go right back into my military experience, right? So
Okay.
a lot of, and this can be applied in any aspect of life, right? Like not only
Hmm.
just in business, not in the military or on your job, right? It could be in your family life. I remember, and rest his soul, my one of the master gunnery sergeants in one of my platoons at one of my duty stations. I remember this. I'll never forget this vivid example in my memory, where I was in charge of a platoon, right? So a platoon is made up of
Uh huh.
like 15 to 20 people, right? So I'm like, you got to make
Right.
sure that they're where they need to be, all that stuff, right? Make sure they're,
Hmm.
dressed appropriately, all that, right? And there was one day in particular, right, where we were doing physical training,
Right.
and I entrusted my sergeant to gather to have accountability for everyone. They know where they need to be at, right? So we
Right.
took off for a run. We did all the exercises, and then we came back.
Hmm.
And then, it was really dark, right? So I couldn't even see what was going on.
Okay.
But it started to brighten up, right? Like sunrise is coming now. So you're like, okay, the master guns was like, okay, everyone rally up, right? And I'm like, okay, well, platoon such and such, come on over. I'm calling out for my guys, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
look around and none of my guys were there,
Okay.
like zero. I
Okay.
had zero accountability, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
the thing that stuck with me was the fact that, okay, well, you trust but verify. In this particular case, I needed to make sure that I did my due diligence, right? So as a leader, how
Right.
I was shaped is like, I will never make that, would never be a mistake that I make again, right? I will make
Right.
sure
Right.
that even though I may entrust someone else to do what I ask them to do, and knowing that they're supposed to do this, that because that's in their wheelhouse, right? That is literally their description. Their
Mm-hmm.
position description is to make sure there's full accountability.
Right.
But I didn't have,
Okay.
I trusted so blindly, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I felt, look, you're a sergeant. I don't need to follow up and micromanage you, right? Like you got it. You supposed, in fact, the red flag that I should have seen was when I never got the accountability from him, because the
Mm.
communication that was given the day prior, evidently it was not clear, right? That's why I work with the clarity circle right now, because I want to make sure
Okay.
that everything that is given, all the instruction is clear, so that way there's no ambiguity, there's no, no gaps in the information, right? So that shaped me as a leader to think, okay, well, yes, you're not trying to micromanage, but you also want to make sure that you gain accountability as well, because you don't want to be the person that's left holding the bag. Because think about if this was a combat situation, right? What would have
Right.
actually happened if I was on the battlefield or something like that, right? Like I've lost all my troops. I have no accountability for them, right? And
Mm-hmm.
there's like serious consequences for that, not just for you as an individual, but across the board as your platoon, like your whole entire organization, right? Flip that into
Right.
business and see how that will work, right? Think about your bottom line. Think what would actually happen to you if you actually did something like that in business today, right? Your business is
Right.
not going to thrive. So those are
Mm-hmm.
some of the things that kind of, help shape, who I am as a leader now, is to make sure that I'm always doing the follow through, right? Because it's very important. So hopefully
Eh,
that answered the
eh,
question.
no, 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 no. It absolutely did, and we have to. I guess we have to understand, because from my aspect, in me coaching for so long, and you and I have had this conversation before. I've been on this platform and other platforms, and the first thing I see is somebody say, "Coach this, coach that, coach this, and coach that," and I'm like, "Look, I don't take that I don't take that lightly. Okay, I don't take being a coach, not just of sports, but I feel like I can coach about this about life. You know what I mean? And so when I really have a strong feeling about that, because as a coach, you're leading people, you know, in the direction that they need to go, and it breaks down that, some folks that say that they lead really aren't leading. You know what I mean? They're directing, and that's a difference for me. Leading is, when I would tell my sons when they play ball, is don't tell somebody to do something that you would never do. That's not leading. Leading is that you do it, and it leads into my next question. That's what I'm saying is, leading is something that when people see, they see you do it. You're not just
Hmm.
talking about it, you're being about it. So
Example.
like, yeah, exactly. So like for you, um, and I should have asked this question first. What is your definition of a leader? Because there people say so many different things, Doc. But what is your definition of a leader?
That is a very good question, right? So the first thing, I'm gonna just go off of what the spirit is leading me to say, right?
Go
I,
ahead.
I think I
That's why
think
we
I
here,
think
brother.
right. I think the first thing that comes to mind for me when you talk about leadership is
Mm,
transformational.
come
That's
on.
the term. That's what jumps into my spirit, right? Because you are actually in charge of people, right? And
Right.
you're leading by example, by the demonstration of the definition of the word leader,
Right.
right? Where you're influencing individuals, you're
Yes.
influencing groups of people.
Okay.
And
You're
so
right.
if when they're in your presence, they're not seeing the demonstration, right? How are they going to know what it takes to be transformed?
Right.
How are they going to get the example, or how are they going to see the manifestation of your example of you going before that person, right? So like the example that I gave you, I didn't go ahead, right?
Right.
Maybe I didn't demonstrate to that individual what my expectation was, right? That's the other
Mm-hmm.
word, right? Expectation is another thing, right? I didn't
Right.
deliver the expectation to make sure, like, hey, I want you to come back and report to me when you have everyone rounded up, right? I'm not just going to blindly just say, okay, well, I'm the leader, I'm directing you, like you said, right?
Right.
So that's a
Right.
really good example of what not to do, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's that for me right there, right? It's like when you think of a leader, when I say transformational, I'm talking about, like I said, you're using the example. You're not just sending somebody out to do something, you're showing them how
Exactly.
to do it, right?
Exactly.
You're giving them the tools, you're giving them everything that they need to be successful. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's why when you see leaders that, especially gatekeeping comes to mind too, right?
Ooh,
You
come
you
on. Come on. Talk about
right?
it.
And
Talk
that's
about
what
it.
ends up happening, is because sometimes people would tell you, oh, you should do this, do this, do this, do that, but they won't give you the full blueprint of what it is that you need to actually do to gain that success, right?
Right.
And so as a leader, if I'm not transforming you by giving you the nuggets and giving you all the things that you need to be successful, that's not transformational. And in my opinion, that's not a good leader. Right?
Yeah.
So, and I
Yeah.
can't lead you unless, and like I always tell people when I'm on live or doing any kind of podcast or anything like this, right? It's like I can't tell you something that I haven't been through myself,
Right.
right? And that's what a
Right.
leader does. Like you're going off of your experience. That's why I say don't shy away from the hard stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go through your lumps, go through the hard times, make the mistakes fast, right?
Right.
And learn from
Right.
them. And then now you want to go back and now you're regurgitating, right? It sounds nasty, right? But you're
Nah,
you're
I
you're
got you.
literally taking that same experience, and now you're talking about it, and by you doing that you're enabling transformation, because someone can pick up on what it is that you have said based on your experience, right? It's like I always say, it's your anointing. That's exactly what that experience is. It's your anointing. You've been anointed because you've gone through that experience. It's not something that you're
Mm-hmm.
just thinking of. It's something
Right.
that you actually went through. That's why when you have people who are considered, you hit the nail right on the head, right? The expert in something, right? Well,
Yeah.
how did you become the expert? Did you go through something? I can say I'm expert in the military, right? I'm an expert at boot camp. I went through 9 months of HELL, right? And it's like that's I experienced that. So I have a story, and I think that's what I'm gonna have my Friday live talking about, right? I might change it up, but it's essentially talking about your story, because that's
Mm-hmm.
how people are gonna connect with you, right? That's why
Right.
sometimes we struggle with connection, because I want to support you, but I don't know your story. I don't know where I'm
Right.
going with this. I don't know your story, and if I don't know your story, I'm not going to be inclined to support the thing that you're trying to deliver. So you can
Mm-hmm.
come all day long and you're saying, I don't want to put too many props up here, right? But I'm just going to use my finger. I'm going to sell you an inch of my finger, right? I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to sell that. But why are you doing that? The reason why I'm doing it is because why? I had an experience with my finger, right? I'm gonna tell you, when I was 2 years old. This is not a true story, right? But I'm just demonstrating storytelling, right? I
Right.
slipped my
Right.
finger an inch away, right? So now you're inclined to say, okay, wow, that's something happened to you. Now I'm emotionally connected. I'm emotionally attached to something that you experienced, and I'm more inclined to support you now, right? Like, how did you recover from that? So I recovered. You know what? It was just a paper cut. But what I did is I got some lotion or some vitamin E, and I covered it up, and
Right.
then I put Band-Aid on it, right? And I
Right.
was able to recover. See, I just told you my story, so now you're connecting with me based on my experience.
Okay.
And so that's where transformation comes in, right? I could talk for 6 hours on this, right? But I'm telling you that's what I think a real true leader is based off of experience, what they've gone through, and the ability to be able to demonstrate that transformation through storytelling, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Right. Oh, that's awesome, man. That is awesome. I don't want to talk to. I don't want anybody to give me advice about something that they've never been through. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's hard for me if I'm going through, if I'm going through something and I'm talking to somebody, like me being married for 30 years, there's certain things that I can only talk to someone who's been in those shoes. I can't talk to a single person about my marriage. They have no idea what I'm talking about, And so for me, not only as the leader in my home, my mindset has always been lead by example. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I know there are times when my kids were growing up that they watched me. They watched what I did in certain situations. Being a leader doesn't necessarily mean you have to be the most vocal person in the world. All right.
Right, right.
Being a leader is also a point of showing, demonstrating. That's what, like you said, that's where the transformation comes from. It's demonstrating. I used to, when my sons were younger, I would do, I called them random acts of kindness. Now I never said that I was going to do it. I would see a gentleman who may needed something to eat, and I fed him, and then I prayed for him. You know what I'm saying? Well, what am I showing my sons? Is that you have to have God's compassion for people. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? You have to have his love for people. Okay.
Right.
And so when I would get back in the car, my sons would ask me, like, Dad, why did you do that? Because the Lord told me to. This is how we're supposed to be. And so I know my sons, as they're grown men now, have random acts of kindness. They do that because they tell me. So
Right.
when I'm asked the question of what is a leader, to me, a leader is like you said, is someone who creates transformation. You know, good leaders, like you talked about gatekeeping. I think that we could talk
Mm-hmm.
about that all night.
Of course. Yes.
Okay? We can write a book and talk about it all night. But to me, being a good leader means developing other leaders. You understand what I'm saying? It means developing other leaders. When you have your flock and you have your community, your community is who you are dropping those nuggets on, because then you want your community, those people who are following you, to expand.
Yes.
When we got gatekeepers, and listen, we can get into it. There's some places, I ain't gonna say who, I ain't gonna, no names, please, that if a congregant leaves, now they, in some places, they're ostracized. But shouldn't we should be raising leaders to go out and lead others. It should be a reciprocation, because you're leading others, you're giving others these this advice, these nuggets, okay? And then they're going out and they're giving those nuggets to other people. You know what I
Right. And
mean?
that's what Matthew
So,
talks about, right? Matthew says,
mhm,
"Go ye into the world and make disciples." Right? Same
exactly.
concept.
Exactly. But you said it, to go out and make disciples. You know what I mean? Go out and create transformation. Okay? Not sit in the four walls all day talking to the same people you talking to. you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like
Okay?
it's like going to a hospital for something that you've already been treated for,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's not a church anymore. It's not now. It's a social club. Like all the people are
Right.
healed, and we're
Right.
all in here just talking about how
Right.
we've been healed, and right?
Right.
Yeah, same
Right.
concept.
If the body, if the church is supposed to be the hospital, then I need to know that the surgeon is going to lead other surgeons, not be
There you
the
go.
only one doing surgery. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I knew when I got on here with you, it was gonna go somewhere.
I'm telling
But that's what it is. That's, and so, having said all that, um, and my next question is this, and for those who come on, for those that are here, thank y'all for being here. This is Becoming a Better You. I am privileged to sit here and talk to Dr. Rayon Walton, that my TikTok hero. You know what I mean? And we talking about leadership. We're talking about, leading with a purpose, because a lot of us out here don't understand, number one, how to lead, but two, how to lead how to have purpose driven leadership. Okay. A lot of us don't know. And so this is what I hope that we'll get out of this session tonight is understanding purposeful leadership. And I'm going to say this why Doc is here, and being a leader is not popular. I need people to understand this. Being a true leader, especially when you're walking with the Most High, it's not popular. The enemy's job is to steal, kill, and destroy. So when you start moving in God's leadership, trust and believe he coming, because he wants to distract you, deter you, put you in a mode of depression, dismay, all of that, because he understands when you're moving the way God wants you to move, you become a threat to the kingdom of darkness.
Yeah.
You become a threat. So that's why the enemy, the adversary, your opponent, tries to stop you by bringing in old things that happened in your life and old relationships that you never, you don't even want to. That's what he wants to do, is put you in a mode of distraction. But me and Dr.
You know
Ray
what?
tonight, go ahead, Doc.
Not to cut you off, right? I saw Michelle's comment in the comment section, right? And she says it correctly, right? She says it's a lonely walk.
Oh,
And I
absolutely.
want to I want to I want to quickly, you know, talk through that really quick, because
Go
the
ahead.
reason why it feels like it's a lonely walk is because you feel lonely. You feel like you're alone. Like you feel like you're the
Right,
only one experiencing this, right?
right, right,
Because of a myriad of things, right? It could be you feel like you've been ostracized. It's like you
right.
talked about, right? Church hurt, right? Like people
Yes.
go in and then you're ostracized. Now you feel like you're lonely, but the it's in the mind, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys know I delve into social psychology and all that. It's a
Come
part of
on.
my
Come
background,
on.
right? But what ends up happening is not that it's not that it's a lonely walk. It's that it's a set apart walk.
Oh, I
What
like
I mean
that.
by
I
that
like
is
that.
this,
That's,
right?
yeah.
It's
There you go.
you are set apart because the demonstration of the Spirit of the living God is moving within you. And so when people cannot identify with your spirit, that there is no magnetism there. So there's no
Mm-hmm.
really you're really feeling like you're repelling them, and there's a reason for that, because there's not like spirits in the
Mm-hmm.
scenario, right? So
Right.
that's why I'm saying you are set apart for such a time as this, during that season in which you're experiencing that quote unquote loneliness, because they are not in alignment with you. And when something is not aligned, it's like if you ever notice when you put two magnets together, right? Sometimes
Right.
it kind of like it's trying to force
Push it
itself to
away.
come
Yeah.
together,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah. Yeah.
magnetism is not there. That force is not there. It's repelling, because you are either of the same, right? If you're the same thing, right, you cannot be, right. I'm trying to see how I can frame this, right? But essentially what it is, the reason why it feels that way is because those spirits are not aligned, and so they're going to be repelled. They cannot come within your circle,
Right.
right? And so what ends up happening is you feel that way, but it's like you should be rejoicing
Mm-hmm.
evermore, especially when you're going through that as a leader. One of the things that I learned growing up in the military and just being in different organizations is,
Mm-hmm.
when you start, especially when you're very close friends with people, right? That was one of the things that was the hardest thing for me to do during the military, is because you're friends with this person and then you get promoted. Now you
Yeah.
become their boss, right? They're still a
Yeah.
lance corporal, you're a sergeant, right? And you're just moving up the ranks, and then they're like, well, you change. Well, what did you expect? Like, aren't you trying to elevate as well, right? And that's what you
Mm-hmm.
feel, you get the crabs in the bucket scenario, right? They're like, well,
Ah,
we're
got it.
supposed to be
Yeah.
together. Why didn't, how come you got it before me, right? And that's why it feels lonely, because now you're now set apart, because you have to get into that mindset, that framework of knowing, like, hey, now I'm at a different level. It's not that we are not friends anymore per se, right? Magnet repel each other, yes, right? See, look at me, I'm reading through the notes in the comment section, right? I can't help myself, right? But it's like that's what it is, right? But what I always tell people is, if that person was really in your corner, if they were really your friend, they would completely understand, right? They would know, like,
Mm-hmm.
they would actually be the ones that's supporting you. They
Right.
wouldn't be the ones that are being repelled. They should recognize, They say game recognized game, right? Like, yeah, I may be
Mm-hmm.
here right now, but just know that you're coming next, right? Like God is no respecter of persons, right?
Right.
So the
Right.
same thing that He did for me, He's gonna do the same for you. And we're just in different seasons, right? So the yes, it may feel lonely at that time, but just know that it's not loneliness; it's being called set apart, right? So I just wanted to cover that really quick.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. And for me, I literally am like, favor ain't fair.
Sure, it
You
ain't.
got to understand that when God favors you, when God has favor over your life, it ain't fair. And
Right.
and, and there gonna be people something and just like you saying, Doc, like when you take those magnets, that magnet analogy is great because when you take the magnets and they're like, it's like the same side, they're drawn to each other. But if you
Mm-hmm.
turn the one magnet to the opposite side, it's actually pushing it
Pushing
away.
it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what happens when God is elevating you to that next level. Okay. He's going to elevate the people that he wants around you. Okay. And so, yes, I thank you for breaking that down because even as a leader myself, whether it was in the ministry, what I always felt like at times it was just me,
Mm.
you know, and I always felt like it was just me. And everything that I said, I get the side eye. You know, everybody looking at, and so it also made me question myself, and sometimes it made me question my ability to lead. But I also, and I'm glad you said that. I also had to understand, like I said, is that it was a shaping for me. I made this comment to my wife, and I talked to her about fire. And I said, we were talking about our marriage at the time, in the beginning and how we went through the fire. And yes, fire burns and fire can hurt, but fire also cleans and fire also shapens. It shapes. Okay. It purifies exactly. Okay. Where you can take a piece of steel and put it in the fire. And when it comes out, you can move it,
Mm.
and so for me, as a person who has led others, I understand that sometimes I got to go through the fire. I have to go through the fire and understand that God is shaping me. He's purifying me. He's cleaning me up. Okay, He's molding me, into what He desires for me to be. You know what I mean? And so that's an awesome. And I love it, Doc. I love it, Doc. See, y'all here with us, but see, I could be sitting here, me and him, just talking to a, you know. But let me get back to this, because man, listen. So, question: how do you lead when the pressure is high and the outcome is uncertain?
Mm.
I
Repeat
got
that.
something for you, Doc. I
Repeat
got
that.
you.
Repeat that one. Repeat that one. Because I want to
So,
critically think about that. Go ahead.
okay. So, how do you lead when the pressure is high and the outcome is uncertain?
Mm. Spirit of the living God. So one of the things that I I like to keep it this way. I like, me, I'm simple, right? I like
Yes, sir.
Michelle calls me simple all the time. Simplicity, clarity, right? Just know who your audience is.
Okay.
You're performing for an audience of one, right?
Mm.
And I know I don't mean to sound super spiritual when I say that, but I do. And
Mm-hmm.
here's the reason why. Because if we are children of God, right, or if we're followers of Christ like we call ourselves,
Right.
then that's it. There is
Mm-hmm.
no breaking of the barrier here, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
this is clarity at its best.
Okay.
I know that if I'm going through this heavy pressure and not having that and having that sense of uncertainty, I don't really think about it as uncertainty per se, because I'm like, I already know this is God, you are doing this for a purpose. There is a reason
Right.
behind it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like Doomdown says, you lean on the Most High and His precepts. Come on now, I don't have my button, but that's clap worthy right there, right? Right? And so
Mm-hmm.
that I think a lot of us we that's why I'm saying it's a mindset thing, right? We have to shift our mindset to understand that the pressure is not just, so like I said about the anointing, right? The pressure is applied for a reason. It's
Right.
not just to shape you, right? It's to shape the people around you, because maybe God is using that pressure to demonstrate his goodness, to
Okay.
demonstrate his power in and
Amen.
through you, because people, you know what? And this may sound cliche, and you probably heard this statement before, right?
Mm,
You may be the only Jesus they see.
mm-hmm.
Some
Right.
people not going to step foot in church,
Mm-hmm.
but you are the one that's carrying that light, right? That's why I said
Right.
you're performing for an audience of one. So that's why the light is, it's almost like a spotlight shining on you, essentially, right? Like you are his chosen vessel,
Right.
right? And so you're going to perform for that audience of one regardless of what's going on. You have to have that no matter what,
Mm-hmm.
mentality, right? It comes hell or high water, it doesn't matter. The pressure that comes, the uncertainty, I'm building up my most holy faith. And this is when you really cannot see it, right? And I'm going the spiritual route because that's in me. I don't know
Man,
where else
go
to go
there.
with it,
Go
right? But it's
there.
like I just feel like if we really are trying to be real about it, then we have to really recognize the power that comes with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as a child of God is recognizing that, like, I'm not just doing this just to do it. And your topic is talking about leading with purpose, right? Like, what is
Yes.
the purpose behind why you're leading? It's
Right.
because you're the direct representation, you're the mouthpiece of Jesus Christ, right? Like that's really what it boils down to in
Yeah.
every aspect of your life. So whether it's on your job, whether it's here on TikTok, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter, right? Like so keeping it in mind that the pressure may come, right? And I think I talked about this in the last live. It's like I think I was talking about Proverbs 3, 5, and 6.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
that's what
Yep.
I was talking about,
I was
right? It's
watching
like,
that today. You were.
you see what I'm saying? And it's like, you
Mm-hmm.
know what, God, I'm putting that at the frontlet. That is at
Mm-hmm.
the forefront of everything that I'm gonna do in 2026. Why? Because I have matured. There's the M word. I have matured
Mm-hmm.
enough to
Mm-hmm.
understand what this game is all about, right?
Right.
If I'm not representing you in the full capacity, in the fullness in which I should be, right? The pressures are gonna come, and what's gonna end up happening is I'm gonna fall by the wayside,
Right.
right? So I
Right.
try not to think too much of the pressure because and here's the thing, I always go back, right? Remember I say don't forget to remember. Go back
Mm-hmm.
to the source. That's what Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 is talking about, right?
Right.
In all
Right.
your ways acknowledge him and he shall
Mm-hmm.
direct your path. Well, God, you know what? This is heavy. This is
Right.
pressure right now. Like I don't even know how to navigate in this space, right? I do it all the time, even on my job. Sometimes it's like they may think this is the simplest thing, but because I'm very thorough in my approach to
Mm-hmm.
when I'm looking at different things, right? I like to critically think about. I like to take the thing and I like to dissect it and get a better understanding so that way I can deliver effectively. And
Right.
so when I look at those hard, quote unquote, hard problems, right? It's sometimes it's just sending an email, right? It's
Okay.
like, okay, well, I have this big long problem, and it's like, let me condense it so that way I can, you know, with clarity, tell them what my
Right.
expectations are, right? But it's like
Right.
if I don't do that, and I'm not saying I'm like, at my desk saying, Father, greatest, creator of heavens and earth, and calling on fire and brimstone at my desk, right? No, I'm doing that on
Right.
the inside in my spirit because I
Right.
understand that we are in the spiritual realm, right? If we're not ready for that, then it's going to be hard for us to navigate the pressure, right? And so that's how I look at it, right? I know I went all over the place with that one, but
No.
that's
No.
what I
No.
felt. I felt
I.
that.
The funny thing is, you keep saying that, but I've been around you long enough. I follow, and those that know you know how to follow. Okay, so it's a complete understanding, and that's when we say it all the time. When we do read the scripture, we say it all the time. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not to thine own understanding, but in all thine ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your path. You know what I mean? And we say it so much, but we don't
Theoretical, right?
break it down to what that truly means. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It doesn't mean, it says trust in the Lord with all your heart, not half of
Exactly.
it. You see what I'm saying? Lean not to your own thinking, which means remove yourself and allow Elohim to step in and do what he's been doing before we got here and what he's going to do when we're long gone. You know what I mean? And so, but the key to that, yep, yep, there it is. Doom. You can't trust him if you don't know him. Okay? I'm gonna give you an applause on that one. You know. So and let me be clear because I always have to acknowledge it. Doom Dog, that is actually my older brother.
Let's
That is my
go.
biological brother. Okay, so
You
yeah,
got them nuggets, man. He's dropping them
yeah,
nuggets.
yeah. That when everybody, and segue real quick, when everybody talks about your nephew Rod, that's his twin. That's who he get that from. Is him. That's him. But no, I completely understand, and that's the thing, and we have to, when we say that, we have to be able to trust him. We have to be able to trust that he's going to make a way out of no way. We got to be able to do that. So, all right, here we go. I got some more for you, Doc. I got a few more minutes with
Bring
you
the
because
fire.
I don't
Bring the
I don't
fire.
want to monopolize your time. But so can you share a failure that taught you a valuable lesson?
Which one? Where do I start? So besides the boot camp, not the boot camp, besides the one where I just let the platoon just like do their own thing, right? Let me see if I can think of another failure. There's so many of them. They should be able to come off the cuff with that one, right? Another failure. Okay, I got one. Oh Jesus, this is tough. Hmm.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna navigate this gingerly right here, right? And Michelle will know
Okay.
exactly what I'm
I,
talking
I,
about.
I got you. I got you. I don't even know the story, but I got you.
So there was a transition period for one of my stepchildren, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there were some things that were taking place at the time that I'm sure she saw it as a failure,
Okay.
right? And I'm gonna come
Okay.
full circle with this, right?
Okay.
It was some hard decisions had to be made, right? And at the time, not understanding the fullness of what was going on mentally with him, it was my military and my background and all of my brought up, see, right, that led me to make certain decisions, right? And so at the time it may not have felt like it was the right decision, right? Like I'm talking about like exiting from the home, right? Like saying, okay, this is it for you. Now you have to move on and try to start to build your own life,
Mm-hmm.
essentially, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
18-year old, like, hey, you're fully grown now. Like now, get out of the nest, right? Essentially. And a lot of things were happening during that time period, right? The transition happened, but it was like they call it the failure to fly. That's not the term. Fail to launch. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you, Holy
Okay.
Ghost.
Okay.
Right? And so it was kind of that tug and pull during that transition, right? I'm being very careful how I put it because there's some sensitivities around it,
Yeah.
right?
Got you. Got
And
you.
so during that period, we didn't really see that there was something that God was also trying to accomplish in that, right? Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
during that transition period, and deep down on the inside, I felt like, you know what, I failed my wife because I didn't provide her that full support that she needed for me to give to him at that time,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And so fast forward, the failure part was me not providing when I knew in the back of my head, like if I did provide in that period of time, I
Yeah.
would be enabling behaviors,
Got you. Okay.
right?
Okay.
It's deep, right? It's deep,
Yeah.
but we have to be like I said, we have to apply wisdom to everything that we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so looking at it from that perspective, of course, hindsight is 2020, right? I think everything that needed to be accomplished, even though it was a failure, Michelle probably saw it as a failure on my part. But the
Mm-hmm.
interesting thing about it is she would come back and say, you know what? I didn't really understand or like the way that things turned out, but I'm so glad it happened,
Right. Okay.
right? Because now there was a level of maturity that needed to happen, and there's so many different things that nuances in between in between the story. I'm not telling the full thing, right? But
I know. I
it's
got you.
like right, but it's like looking at it. I'm hoping you're picking up I'm sure you're picking up. I
Yeah.
know you're
Yeah.
following
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it's like I at that point, even in the back of my mind, even though I knew it was the right thing to do, I still felt like I was a failure,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then how
Okay.
did I recover from that, right? I recovered from it because I saw the demonstration. I saw the transformation that took place,
Okay.
right? I saw the transformation. Yes, he's getting all the help that he needs now, and we're still
Mm-hmm.
helping, right? But from a
Mm-hmm.
distance, albeit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we still, interact.
Mm-hmm.
But it was necessary. The
Okay.
failure, that's why I say fail forward fast. Go through
Mm.
it, right? This is tough,
Mm.
right? And in a marriage, like that could have probably ruined our marriage, right? But it didn't. It couldn't break it because
Right.
it was not ordained. Oh man, it wasn't when God ordains something, it cannot be broken,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so
Mm-hmm.
that failure at the time was for a it was done with purpose, even
Got
though
it.
we couldn't see the fullness of it at the time, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things I don't forgot what the question is. I know you asked about failure and me kind of full circle trying
Yeah.
to
What did
put
it
that out
teach you
there.
as a leader? Yeah. What did that
Right.
failure teach you?
It taught me, right, that I need to just go through it. Right?
Okay.
Go through the hard times. It may not the decisions you're making at the time may not feel popular. You may feel like,
Yeah.
man, this is not, it
Yeah.
may not feel right. And as I was making those decisions, not all of them felt right.
Right.
Right. But I knew it was necessary. And I was like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I got to do this because if I don't do this, I'm going to be enabling behaviors and there's not going to be transformation happening, you
Right.
know, at the end of
Right.
all this. Right. So
Right.
hopefully that makes
Right.
sense.
Right. No, it makes perfect sense, and I understand the sensitivity. So yeah, you maneuver very well, but I could
I
follow.
try.
I follow, and everybody else should have followed. You know what I'm saying? These were difficult
Right.
decisions that had to be made, but once again, being that leader, you had to make them. And that's what I think a lot of times, even in leadership, those hard decisions, people they avoid or
Mm.
they poo poo it. You know what I mean? Instead of having to make that decision, understanding that it's going to benefit. Like I said, me being a husband, a father, a leader of my family, there's a lot of decisions that I had to make that were tough, but I had to do it because I knew it was going to benefit the family and and
Yes.
and 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 advance the family. And so that's a thing, when it comes to being that leader, there is a level of sacrifice. I mean, the most simplest thing in the world for me was when me and my wife were together and we first got married. We didn't have no kids, and this sounds minute, but I would go into a store because I was a big shoe guy. I loved shoes. So I would go in and buy shoes. I buy 5, 6 pair of shoes, and I'd come home and my wife would be like, well, wait a minute, why you buy all them shoes and you only got 2 feet? You know what I mean? And so, but then when the kids came around, and I understood the assignment, because that's the thing, as a new father, as a father, we have to understand the assignment. And
Yes.
once I understood the assignment, I would walk into a store, see 3 or 4 pair of shoes, and the first thing that would come to my mind is, do the kids have what they need?
Mm.
I started to ask myself that question, like, okay, this is something that I want, but what does the family need? And so many times I walk right out of that store because I'm like, well, wait a minute, it's not about me anymore. You know,
Yes.
it's not about me. And when you move in that mode, you understand that it's a bigger picture involved. You know what I mean? And like I said, not just family, but even people who you encounter at work. And that, to me, that's the hardest part, is when you're trying to lead a group of adults who have never been led. You
Amen to
know,
that, brother.
you know what I'm saying? And so that's where all the criticisms and the backbiting and the envy. My wife, we talked about that today. The envy that comes in, and you're trying to lead. You know what I
Right.
mean? But it's always going to be some obstacles. But you said it, when you're moving with the Holy Spirit, those obstacles are going to come.
Yeah.
They're going to happen. You know what I mean? So listen, y'all. Listen, this is Becoming a Better You. I am here just confabbing, having a good time with Dr. Rayon Walton. If you have not engaged with Dr. Ray, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but I am. You need to engage with Dr. Ray. Okay, you need not leave here without engaging with Dr. Rayon Walton. All right. Got two more questions for you, Doc. I'm gonna get you out of here, man. I do appreciate your time. I really do,
Oh,
man. Thank you so much for spending time with me. You're gonna have to be a recurring guest. You do know that, right? Because I'm gonna figure out this technological thing and I'm gonna get it right.
look, you're
Okay.
starting the new year off right on the right foot, right? So there you go. That's all I can say.
So for our younger viewers that's gonna see this, because we'll put this on the tube called you and all that good stuff. What advice would you give an aspiring leader who might watch this? What advice would you give them?
That's deep. That's deep. You coming with the deep questions tonight, Young.
I'm trying, man. I'm getting my Geraldo Rivera on.
Oh man, you know what? I would say create a system.
Okay.
Create a system, right? Because when we talk about leading, right, a lot of times we're thinking of motivation, right? Leading is somebody, oh, someone is going to tell you and grab you by the hand and push you in this direction, right? But we're talking about identity. We got to first find out who we are, number one,
Come on.
right? If you're an aspiring leader, find out who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we've said this a lot in the past, and it becomes so cliche, right? It's like you find your purpose on the journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not necessarily. You actually build it. You're building your purpose as you go, right? You're not really searching to find it, right? As you're encountering these different experiences, build a framework,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm not gonna go deep into it, right? But if you think of a like Lady T Purdy is really good at this, right? She does the 3P system, right?
Mm-hmm.
So create that system, that framework. Find out who you are, number one. Who are you identifying as,
Right.
right? Because that's the only way you can show up authentically. Because a leader, if you're showing up fake, people are going to
Mm-hmm.
spot it out. They're going to
Yeah.
find you, right? No
Absolutely.
matter how much you try to mask it, is the mask is going to eventually come off,
Right.
right? And so if no one remembers anything I say tonight, find out your identity, and that comes with time. Because
Mm-hmm.
we are struggling in the 20, what are we in the 22nd century now? I don't even know, 21st century, whatever century we're in.
Don't ask me. I forgot.
We got the Gen Xers, the Gen ZYs, the Gen XYs. I done lost count now, right? The
Man,
Gen
man,
Gators
come
now,
on.
but
Come
it's
on.
like we're living in a time where we're struggling with our own identity. We're trying to figure out who we are because social media is telling us, right, that we should be this person. This is how we
Mm-hmm.
should show up if we want to get all the likes. If we want to have 36,000 people showing up in the room, we got to navigate like this. We got to do it like how this
Right.
person does it. If we want to get all the right, all the accolades and everything that comes with being on social media, right? And so if we don't know what our true identity is, we're in the twilight zone. So we could be,
I can't with Miss Michelle. I
and it's
can't.
so true, right? We can't even
Right.
figure out because there's so many changes, social media, right? So that's the advice I would give. In your navigating social media, first of all, find out your identity so that way you don't become lost. Because
Okay.
it's like being in a sea, right? Of
Right.
fish, right? To
Right.
simplify it, right? It's like where do you fit in? Do you have a crew? Do you have a community that you belong to, right? We're talking about
Right.
social media, TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Find
Yeah.
your community. Find the people who resonate with your identity and actually engage in that community, right? I
Right.
was listening to something on the news earlier today, right? And I don't encourage people to watch too much of the news because it's not really anything new on there, but
Right.
probably not anything positive either, right? But it was talking about how now in schools they're telling the kids to they can't have their cell phone in the classroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the it was a doctor actually, a doctor was talking about this, and he was saying that his students because they implemented that rule,
Hmm.
they did a poll to find out they were actually having more conversations and more chatter in
Yeah.
that classroom
Yeah.
than in the other classrooms, right? Because everybody's in there and they're looking down, right? Because
Yeah.
they don't know how to use their emotional intelligence. The EQ in that environment is stagnant.
Right.
And so what ends up happening is they're not able to find their true identity because they're looking at social media to find out who they should be,
Right.
right?
Okay.
But not realizing it comes from community, having conversations like what we're having today, right?
Hmm.
Find out who you can connect with in your community. Don't just be on social media scrolling all the time, right? Get out and talk to people. Find out what makes people, find out people who you probably wouldn't even have conversations with, right? One of the first things I did when I got on TikTok was I was like trying to figure out as I'm navigating, like, what is this battling thing, right? And people would connect
Oh,
with me when
geez.
I got on live, and I'm like, they would just come up and then I would just have conversations with them, right? I remember one of
Hmm.
my first experiences, I had an almost 2 hour conversation with cannot remember the gentleman's name, right? It was very random, right? So he was
Hmm.
talking and he was talking about, undiagnosed ADHD with his child, right? Like how he had to walk through that struggle, right? I didn't know I was going to connect with him from that perspective, right? No, this is a total stranger. I don't know him from a can of paint, right? And
Right.
it's like
Right.
I was able to in that interaction, I was building community and didn't even recognize it, right? And
Hmm.
so is as we're identifying our true selves, we have to really get outside of the proverbial box, right? So that's the advice I would give, right? Don't spend so much time trying to figure out who you are based on what social media standards are, right? And you definitely don't want to do it now, especially looking at the geopolitical spectrum, right? Because
Right.
you hear this stuff about, and I don't want to go too deep into that, right? But the turning point stuff and all this other stuff, and
Yeah. Yeah.
they're using the name of religion and Christianity to turn people a certain way, right? Because
Right. Right.
oh man, I listen to so many things today, like I could just do dissertations on it, right? But essentially, is that the brainwashing you, right, in the name
Right.
of God.
Hmm.
So that's why I say you perform for an audience of one, right? Keep your relationship with God tight, because all the stuff that's going to be coming at you as a young person, if you don't have that relationship with God and can't identify in that space, you will fall for anything,
Right.
right? So
Wow.
build first your that strong foundation, your relationship, right? Because look, and even if people are like, oh, I don't want to be spiritual, I don't want to be religious, I don't want to go into all that, right? Those are principles,
Hmm.
albeit from the Bible, right? But they're principles, anyone can apply them. That's why I always tell people was, oh, well, that's in the Bible. No, it's a principle. They're biblical
Right.
principles, right? Basic instructions before leaving
Before
earth.
leaving
It's your
Earth. Yes.
guidebook,
Yeah.
right? And so
Yeah.
don't get all spooky, right? People get all spooky. Well, it's the Bible. It's religious, blah, and they get all crazy about it, right? It's like, no, you can you read Harry Potter and all these different trilogies and all this other stuff, right? Like, think about it from that perspective. If you don't want to look at it from from that religious standpoint, right?
Hmm.
Look at it as a set of principles to live by. And I'm telling you, if we have that center taken care of, then I'm telling you, we would know who our true identity is. And that's what I would tell people who are young people listening right now. If you are if you have not identified, if you have not met the Lord Jesus Christ as your personal savior, right? I feel like
Come
I'm doing
on.
an altar call right now.
Come on.
Right? That's where you start. Because I can say truly deep down on the inside, that's where all of my success comes from. This is not something, you know how people say, well, I pulled myself up from my own bootstraps and blah, blah. Well, first of all, who gave you the life and the wherewithal and the extremities to pull up those doggone bootstraps that you keep
Come
talking
on.
about, right?
Come on. Come
How
on.
did that come to be? How you just happenstance, just showed up here, like how? That right there is the explanation of us understanding that we have a creator. There's someone bigger than us out there, right? Just by saying, how did I get here, right? It just blows my mind. I don't even want to do it because I probably will blow my mind thinking about that, right? But it's
Hmm.
like, if that's the long answer to that is find your true identity, find it in Christ, because that is the root of everything. That's where all
Hmm.
your successes are going to come from, and it goes right back to Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he's going to direct your path. You
Right.
need a GPS. You
Come
need
on.
that. and that's
Come
where it
on.
starts.
Come on, man. Y'all see what I'm talking about? I wasn't playing. I'm telling y'all, if you have not engaged with Dr. Ray, this the convo. Dr. Ray, I'm so glad that you were able to join me. Listen, tell the folks here, where they can catch you. Okay, and remember we on TikTok, so when you do the other, yeah, I want people
Yeah.
to know where they can catch you. Okay, where they when they can come on and they can follow, man.
All right, so I'm typically on here on this platform on Fridays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, right? So subject to change by the leading of the Holy Spirit, right? Put the laughing emoji on that one, right? But
I got you.
right, but I'm on all the platforms essentially, right? I'm on
Mm-hmm.
YT, I'm on the Gram, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
all over the place, right? So you could find me on those platforms as well, right? But if you really want to, like where I'm really leveling up, like with Lady T, right? Where I'm really
Mm-hmm.
leveling up is I use this as my foundation essentially, right? I've built a
Okay.
foundation, I've built a team, I've built a community here on TikTok, right? And so that's just an extension of what I do here on this
Mm-hmm.
platform. So, if you catch me on here, you're really gonna probably get more personal, time, right, than you would on like YT or the Gram or the Book of the Face, right? So,
Right. Right.
that's where you will find me, right? So, and also, I mean, I don't know if I could say it here, but it's like I also, if you check the link in my bio, right, I do all kinds of different things, right? So I'm building businesses, I'm doing all these different things. So yeah.
I didn't realize you wrote a book. Did you not? I think I
Oh,
saw that today. Yeah,
yes,
you
I
you
did.
wrote a book.
I did. I wrote a book called "Caught Up in the Rapture," and it's the link is in my bio. But if you go to rayonwalton.com, you will find all the information about the book there. I think I did post something on Instagram somewhere. Maybe it's on one of my other Instagram profiles, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually trying to push things more for the book now, right? I guess the company that I worked with, they're like, okay, hands off. I already did my part. Now, bye. Do
Mm-hmm.
what you want to do, right? Without
Mm-hmm.
actually letting me know that, right? That's a whole nother live for that one. But essentially, I'm doing all the marketing and all that stuff now. But just shameless plug, caught up in the rapture is talking about the afterlife, right? So all of the things that Coach Young and I talked about today, if you can really look at the crux of the matter, right? It's like all of the things that you went through. Like I talked about the example, about the hard decisions that had to be made, right? Like the culmination of all those things. What does it really matter in the end, right? And I'm gonna just leave it
Mm-hmm.
right there. I don't want to give you all the whole book, right? But it's on Kindle, it's on Amazon, it's right, Google Books, wherever you read books
Okay.
from, you could find it on those platforms.
So listen, y'all, caught up in the rapture. I'm telling you right now, y'all need to go ahead and get it. And I failed to acknowledge that he's an author and we calling it
Oh, I
out
forgot
in
about that.
we calling it out in the name is that he's gonna be a best selling author. So we
Yes,
speaking that into existence right now.
receive it.
That there are more books that are coming down the line, and so that's what I'm telling y'all right now. Caught up in the rapture. Click the link. Go get it. And listen, Dr. Ray, man, just thank you so much for
Thank you so
hanging
much for
out with
having
the
me on.
coach, going to, me going through some things. And like I said, this is not going to be the last time that hopefully you come through and we can help some people out on this platform. And I'm so grateful for you and Miss Michelle, and I'm gonna take this moment and give you your flowers. I truly appreciate uh, what you have taught me since I've been on this platform, how you and Miss Michelle have supported me and my wife on this platform, and it doesn't go by the wayside. I truly appreciate you doing this for me. And the funny thing is, as we got going, the nerves just took off. So now I'm like, all right, now here we go.
You're in the zone
So
now,
but
right?
yeah, I'm there because Man, listen, I got so much more that I wanted to ask, but like I said, I'm gonna hold that till we meet again. And so this is going to. I'm gonna try to do something each month and bring someone on that can, because I don't want everybody just to hear Coach Young. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's easy to hear Coach Young, and I can come on here and like I said, y'all, I can talk. I got no problem in talking, but I want to be able to help people know that they can be better today than they were yesterday and look forward to tomorrow. That's that's literally what becoming a better you is all about. And so I am so thankful and grateful that 2026, this first broadcast, I had you
Man,
on here, Dr. Ray, and I truly appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Coach Young, and it's it's interesting you say that, right? Because it's like I know that Coach Young has the right heart for this professional yapper is he.
Yeah, that's my wife. Don't pay no attention to her.
And Coach Young and call her Prophetess Trevor, right? She's probably like, you gotta stop calling me. But I mean, I call it like I see it, right? But when I connected with them, I knew there was something there, right? I knew that there was a connection. I knew that they had something to bring to the table. I knew that they had connection with God first and foremost. And when I started to see that, I was like, well, I know that God has a plan and a purpose for this, for
Right.
everything. Lady T, Purdy, Treva, the
Yeah.
community that
Yeah.
that you guys have built, right, is for such a time as this. And I think as we start to pivot and transition into different,
Hmm.
arenas, and as you guys start to really just let go, right? Like I don't know
Yeah.
where I'm going with this, but as you begin to let go and let God, right? We had 21 people in here. I don't know if you
Yeah.
saw that,
Yeah. I did. I did.
right? And I don't
Hmm.
know because they're saying to try stuff with the shoppable, right, and all this different stuff, right? But I'm like 21 people, and I'm like thinking to myself, this is what Coach Young this is what it's all about, right? We're building community, right? And I
Hmm.
think you and your wife have it, right? Like when you did the Pebbles and Bam Bam show, right? Lady T when
Yeah.
she does, the level up, right? I mean,
Hmm.
it just to see the transformation. There goes that word again, right? To see the
Yeah.
transformation from where we
Yeah.
were to
Yeah.
where you guys are now. And Coach Young, I mean, you think you were nervous trying to like navigate through this podcast?
Hmm.
No, I mean, you hit every wicket. As you were asking me the questions and as you were navigating, I was like, this guy is a professional podcaster. Like, this guy knows his stuff. He knows exactly what he's doing, right? Like, you got me to talk about stuff that I didn't even know that I wanted to talk about, right? And it's not like I
Hmm.
had issues being transparent, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what a good interviewer does, right? They
Right.
pull, and the
Hmm.
connection is already there. It's already set, right? So the nerves don't need to be there, right? We're family. We're here. We're just having a conversation, and you
Right.
just hit this thing out the park, man. Like this right here. Like I can't wait for the next one, right? Because none of the questions were preempted, right? So I was like, oh
No.
my God, are you gonna ask me these questions? Like I have no
Nah.
idea where we're going, right? But I like that. I don't want I don't want to have the preempted stuff because it gives me the opportunity to number one critically think about it,
Hmm.
and now I'm starting to see how you navigate it. I can do the same when I pull you up on my podcast, right? You and
Right.
Treva and Lady T, right? So this was a great learning experience for me as well, and I just want to give you your flowers and thank you for this opportunity, right? It was really a humbling experience, and for everyone that came in, I'm giving shout outs now, right? C Dub,
Hmm. Yeah.
Treva, some people came in and left, right? Tina came in, right? So I
Yeah.
appreciate you guys for coming in and supporting, right? That's what it's all about. Because you guys may not see it, right? You may not understand what support looks like, but just
Hmm.
you being in the room, you didn't even have to
Right.
say anything, right? But just by you being in the room, it really does mean a lot, right? And if you look at all these other different live hosts, when you see them, sometimes it's one or two in the room, and it's like, oh man, I got to go find some more people, right? You're like, I need to have that. We need to have that sense of community, and I saw that in live and living color today, right? So I
Yeah.
just want to thank you for this opportunity. It really does mean a lot. We're growing, and the best is yet to come.
Oh, absolutely, man. I got to get that up for that. Give me that. Yeah, so I mean, I'm trying to do at least one. I'm coming on each week, but I want to do a bring a guest on each month. And so you my guest for the month of January, and we possibly may level up in the month
Nice.
of February. I, I'm,
Let's
I'm not. I'm
go.
not. I'm not. It's not a spoiler. That's just a teaser. Okay. So we might just be getting ready in the month of February for just to level up. I'm just
Can't
gonna
wait.
throw
I
that
can't
out
wait.
there.
I love
Just gonna throw
leveling
that
up.
out there. You know what I mean? But once again, Dr. Ray, thank you so much. Gonna give it up for Dr. Ray. This is Becoming a Better You. I am your friendly neighborhood coach. And listen, you guys tune in each Wednesday, 5 o'clock p.m. for Becoming a Better You. You guys catch up with Dr. Ray down the road here on all his social media platforms. All right. And I will see you guys down the road. Let me see. Let me get you out of here because you got your coins. Let me
Yes, thank you
disconnect
guys for all the gifts as well. Thank you.
because I will mess this up. I am literally about to mess this up. How do I do this? This is crazy. It should be able to disconnect. Oh, there it is. Okay, here we go. There we go. All right. Oh my goodness, y'all! I'm figuring it out. Treva, calm down, calm down, calm down. But listen, I truly enjoy spending the time with Dr. Ray. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys learned, the how to really move in leadership. Okay, how to be that true leader. All right. And so, like I said, I'm here every Wednesday, 5 o'clock p.m. Becoming a Better You. You guys can catch me. You guys can also catch me on all my other platforms. Good night to you, Miss Michelle. Thank you so much for loaning your husband out for an hour or so. I truly appreciate it. I'm gonna get out of here, get up the road. All right. Listen, I will say this every time I come off Becoming a Better You. Give somebody a hug, for you never know what someone is going through and just might need it. All right. I will talk to y'all later. Have a great week. I will see y'all down the road. I'm out.